Near, what do you have for us?
Um, so I watched a show that's not quite as good, unfortunately. Um, but
Also
I
quite popular on
watched,
social media.
yeah, it's kind of popping off. I watched Kaiju number 8, also
Hmm.
known as Kaiju Hachigo.
Yes.
Um, this is the Shonen Jump um,
Plus,
Production
this.
IG
Yeah.
series. So
Hmm.
it's got money. It's got a lot of money.
It's been
Um,
popping off on the Shonen Jump digital manga end recently.
yeah. Um, as to be expected from Shonen Jump series. It's an anime, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, as for staff, um, man, there's a lot of fucking producers on this. Director, um, Miya Shigeyuki, who's done what has he done? What has he worked on? Um, oh, that's not a good sign. Um, was this after Lost? Shumetsu Toshi? Damn, this shit was bad. Um, what is this? Fuck is this?
Years like, what is this
Oh
Kawaii
man.
Kawaii Complex Guide to Manners.
Hmm.
I'm seeing shit I've never seen before. Yeah, I've like never heard of this dude.
Mm.
But yeah, so strange directing choice. Oh, he worked on
I
Blood
think
Lad. Wow,
I think it's
Pogchamp.
a I think there's a
Lupin 3, right?
co-director as
Yeah,
well,
there's
if I'm not
there's
mistaken.
co-directing. Um, co-director is Tomomi Kamiya. What has he done? Let's see. Is he a bit more storyboarding on Mob? Storyboarding on episode directing on Carolyn Tuesday. Episode directing Psychopaths 3. Is he like directed? Like an OVA. Yeah, so it seems like the directors are pretty new to like directing,
That's pretty
which is
surprising.
an interesting
Chucking them
choice.
on, chucking them onto something as big as, I guess, in this season at least, something that's pretty big, like Kaiju number 8. To be
Yeah.
honest.
Although I maybe this is a production that's more leaning heavily more on episode directors, like guest episode directors and stuff like that, um, to help sort of shoulder the burden, I guess. But who knows? Either way, a lot of money behind this show. Basic synopsis. This is shonen shit, so it's it's really like not that deep. Takes place in Japan. Japan gets attacked by kaiju's every once in a while. Um, there's like this elite fighting force called like you know um, or what they're called. They're basically like bootleg JSDF. They got these super
Oh yeah.
soldier outfits. They've got big laser guns. Um, they're basically super soldiers. If you've ever seen um, Godzilla Final Wars, uh, they're basically a ripoff version of the super soldiers from Godzilla
Ah,
Final
okay.
Wars. I don't know if this series was inspired by Godzilla Final Wars, but this kind of takes a lot from Godzilla Final Wars, except for the aliens,
Probably.
as far as I'm aware. Uh, I don't know. I don't. Maybe aliens show up in this series later, but um, and the main character is Himino Kafka, and he's a 32-year-old old geezer, decrepit old geezer of a man.
Yep, on his way
Um,
out.
Boomer.
yeah, and he has the dream of basically joining this super soldier force. He missed his chance. He didn't make it, and now he's given up basically. And he works now in monster, like kaiju carcass disposal, where they cut up the body um, with chainsaws for some reason. They don't have any better tools. They cut it up and they,
They spent all the R&D on the guns, dude.
yeah, they get rid of it.
It's like that one clip of somebody in like Europe, like a beached whale explodes, and then they bring out the hose, but it's like a small garden hose, and they're trying to
Yeah,
clean up
yeah.
the entire blood smell. Yeah.
But yeah, it's basically a bunch of dudes in hazmat suits that are cutting up a monster body and craning it around. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty much what he does. And eventually, new blood joins the cleanup crew, and his name is Ichikawa Reino, and his dream is also to join the super soldiers. And he basically goes, "Wow, you gave up? You're fucking stupid and a loser. I'll never give up." Um, and Kafka's like, "Damn, okay, all right." And then eventually, on like I think it's on Ichiko's first day, they get attacked by a what did they call it? A Yonju, which is I
Yoju,
guess is
I believe.
yeah Yoju, which is I guess is like a lower class of kaiju or whatever. Um, but they get attacked, uh, and then they get saved. But they get basically Kafka and Ichikawa get hospitalized, and in the hospital, Kafka gets sort of attacked by this weird slug thing.
Radioactive kaiju. Let's
Yeah,
go.
yeah. This weird like slug creature. It goes into his mouth. Um,
Oh god. Did they
yeah,
show
and then
that?
they show it. And he turns
Wow, I
into
love Vor.
he turns into a sort of man-sized kaiju. Um,
So, what does
and
the slug look like? Near, is it like the wiener kind of?
it's like a purple like worm with wings, with like mosquito wings.
So it's not like a wiener.
Um, it's a worm.
No, it's got a weird it's got
It's
a
got like a
weird
weird
mouth like a
whole mouth thing.
birdo. What the
Yeah,
fuck is that thing called from
yeah,
Mario?
birdo.
Hell yeah.
But it's got teeth in
Yeah.
it. Um,
You know what this kind of reminds me of? Like up to now, it kind of reminds me of a little bit of like the setup for the guide. Reminds me of like Ajin. You know what I mean? The
yeah,
Demigod Man.
kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, after that, he
This more sounds. Or did people even like Ajin Spire? This sounds like Parasite.
people liked Ijin, yeah,
No, Ajin
quite a
was
bit
very
actually.
popular.
But yeah, after he turns into a kaiju, he sort of tries to run away from the super soldiers. He tries to hide. But then another kaiju attacks, and he's like, I gotta go
Well,
be a
Yoju.
hero."
Save
Another
my
Yoju.
yeah.
Yeah, another Yoju. And he ends up saving this little girl and her mom. Um, and then yeah, basically it kind of just goes from there, and it becomes basic shonen shit. He decides to chase his dream again, as a 32-year-old decrepit man, and he joins. He starts taking the tests for the super soldiers again, and it sort of goes on from there. It does a very
Does
quick
it give him
sort of
superpowers or like
what
super strength? Does
being a
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
kaiju. Yeah,
no,
so
as in like when he's not in kaiju form, does he
no,
still get super strength?
You
Okay.
know who? You know who
no.
else is
So
32 near?
when he's not in kaiju form, he's a 32-year-old man. Um,
Yeah, Bob.
and
Why?
the reason I keep bringing up his age is because so does the series. The series really likes to hammer home that he is a 32-year-old decrepit geezer.
Past your
Um,
prime, old man.
yeah.
The
But
future
yeah,
is now, man.
the only way he gets his kaiju strength is by like transforming parts of his body, right? And so
Obviously.
yeah, uh, he sort of has to. Actually, it kind of seems to make a point that he sort of needs to make somewhat of a conscious effort to not be a kaiju, um, which is kind of interesting. But yeah, um, it's pretty much standard shonen stuff. It does like after they apply and do the test, it does a sort of truncated training arc into the sort of exam thing, and then it introduces the I guess main villain, which is like this mysterious kaiju that can talk, uh, and also like bring other dead kaiju back to life and like power them up or whatever. And he seems to have the ability to transform and blend himself in as a human. So there's some mystery there. But other than that, it's pretty standard shonen stuff. The main, I guess,
Episodic or mini arcs or what? What's going on?
I would assume probably mini arcs with a general overarching plot. Um, it's pretty early shonen stuff, right? So it's all fairly foundational, formulaic setup stuff. It's all stuff we've seen before, right? The main stuff that differentiates this, I guess, is that again, main character is older, right? Um, Typically in shonen series like this, you have a much younger um, protagonist that's sort of aiming for the top kind of thing.
What is
Whereas,
what differences does that actually make in terms of like the story talking about the guy's psychology, right? Because that's very
um,
interesting.
so the I guess the main difference is sort of the motivation, right?
Mhm.
And the motivation here is it's kind of a spin on the standard motivation, right? Where he wants to join the sort of kaiju JSDF or whatever. Not necessarily because he's just like, I want to be the strongest or whatever, right? Or I want to protect people or whatever, right? Um, it's basically that he, as a child, made a promise to one of his childhood friends
Mhm.
to join this thing, and they were gonna, you know, wipe out all the kaijus together. It's a very like uh, Attack on Titan esque scene, right? Where it's like,
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna kill them all or whatever, right?
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
and he ends up not making it, right? Like he fails the
Right,
exams or
right,
whatever.
right.
He doesn't make it. But his friend does, and she's like captain, and like she's fucking goated with the sauce. She's like the fucking strongest soldier ever.
Kind of reminds me of a little bit of me when going through the recent firefighter Daigo, Rescue in Orange or whatever it is,
Yeah.
and it was talking about like how some people were more successful than others, and also I think Dark you had the Big Bang Brave Burn, the Brave Burn had a little bit of element of that as well, right? Where it's like one guy's like succeeding and the other guy's sort of the psychic kind of business here. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. So his motivation now is um sort of catching up to her and basically being
right,
like,
right.
I want to be able to, you know, fulfill that promise to where, they're standing side by side in this sort of uh, kaiju fighting um outfit, and he basically wants to be like worthy of her respect, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um so it's a little bit more of an interesting initial motivation. Um, the way he sort of carries himself is I mean, you'd think it would be a pretty a bit more of a bigger departure from standard shonen protagonists, but I think he's fairly standard, right? He's loud, he's
Yeah.
a bit obnoxious, right?
The thing
He's
is, like, we've had older protagonists. I mean, like, oftentimes they're detectives and stuff like that, or like whatever. Like,
yeah,
they're yeah. But like, we've had older protagonists like this before as well.
yeah, but I feel like not really so much in like standard shonen shit, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, he's fairly loud. He's a bit of a goofball, right? Which is typical stuff you'd expect from a shonen
Mhm.
protagonist. But again, I think the main thing is that like outside of his kaiju form, he's kind of a loser, right? Like he like again, they really hammer home that like he's 32 years old. He's older than like everybody else around in
Right,
this
right.
like sort of training camp thing they're in. Um, he like can't like there's like a weird um like power scale rating when they're in the suits, and it's like how well you sort of um synchronize with the suit, and then like
Uh,
the I think they say the average um percentage or whatever for like new recruits is somewhere like 5 to 8%, and if like you're above 10%, then you're pretty damn good. um and he's at zero. He's literally at zero, right? Um, Whereas some of the other like supporting cast is at like 14 or 12. And then there's the one girl who's at like 40%, and she's like the prodigy character, right?
right, right,
Um,
right,
so there's it's fairly standard stuff, right? I think what sort of elevates this into something worth watching
right.
outside
Hmm.
of like something outside of the standard person that just watches every Shonen Jump series like ever, or just any shonen
Uh-huh.
ever,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
I think what like separates this from those is the humor. I think the humor in this series is really good.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's a very lighthearted series actually. Because typically like I feel like from the promotional materials, like the key visuals, um, even like going back and looking at like the manga covers, right? You'd think this is a
Uh-huh.
pretty serious show, right?
Right.
Like the kaiju design, like the main dude's design, like he's this big, like spiky dude with a skull face, right? You'd think it's probably a pretty edgy, serious thing, but it's not at all.
Right.
It's a very comedic series, to the point where when he first transforms, um, the guy that uh, like there's like this old man that discovers them and sort of calls the cops on them,
Mhm.
and he like faints in fear as he's trying to um basically say like, hey, I'm not a bad guy or whatever. And
Exactly.
Ichikawa is like, how about you give him a smile, right? And he makes this like face that's more terrifying than it is a smile.
Right.
There's also this scene where they're running and he's like, um I have to pee, right? And Ichikawa's like, how the fuck are you gonna pee, dude? Like you don't even have like private parts.
Right,
Um,
exactly.
and then he starts peeing out of his nipples. Yeah, like this is a very um, it's quite a comedic show, and the jokes land quite well.
Right.
With the way
Like, I
they,
actually thought about it instead of just doing the standard, like,
yeah,
slapstick, like,
with the
"Oh,
the
I'm gonna be
timing,
bald."
the comedic
Yeah.
timing is really on point.
Mhm.
The sort of art style shifts that they do for the comedic bits are really good. They do a lot more cartoony stuff, right, which is fairly standard.
Mhm.
But there's also like a lot of audio cues that are really good. Like they'll distort the voices or whatever in
Mhm.
certain parts. But yeah, the comedy here is really good, I think. The characters are also, they bounce off each other pretty well. Even like the prodigy, the sort of holier than thou Ojo type character that she is,
Mhm.
um, they don't make her like unlikable. You know what I mean?
Right,
They
exactly.
still have like the back and forth banter that's like fairly lighthearted. Um, yeah, I think that's kind of like the main thing that sort of puts this above kind of just like a My Hero Academia. You know what I mean? Where it's like
Mhm.
it's just shonen. Um,
Right, exactly.
Other than that, audio visuals, I guess we'll go over. Again, this is Production IG, and they definitely put quite a bit of money into this. The style is quite nice. The colors are pretty nice. Um, the action scenes are really really good. Although I will say the most recent action scene got straight up fucking ruined by the dimming. Um,
Dude, yeah,
Oh my
that was
goodness.
really bad.
yeah, very unfortunate. But yeah, I think one thing that's really worth noting is the monsters. So typically in a lot of these series nowadays, when you have these like crazy monster designs,
Mhm.
they'll be CG, right? They'll be like some
Right.
weird fucked up CG creature. I don't think there's been any CG monsters at all so far.
What?
Um,
Wait,
yeah,
really?
yeah. So if there is, they're blending it really well. It looks
That's
really good.
fascinating.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
quite impressive. Especially
How much
because
money do they
in
have?
the training stuff, there's like
A whole lot.
multiple monsters on screen at once, and they're all kind of exploding, and there's blood flying everywhere. Um, which again, this is
Yeah,
this is
the other
this is a pretty
thing
bloody series.
I was gonna say,
Um,
the other reason why it'd probably be really difficult for them to like do a lot of CG with it is like the gore on them is very
yeah,
clearly
they
not
like
CG.
yeah they blow up into chunks. They have like intestines
Jesus
and shit
Christ.
spilling out of them. Yeah, it's all quite impressive stuff. Uh, but
That's
yeah,
amazing that they did that. Yeah.
the music as well is also very good. I'd say there's a lot of in the action scenes. There's a lot of like this really high energy guitar that plays almost like an insert song, where like the focus, like the audio focus, is on the music, more
Mhm.
so as it just being like a backing track for the action. It's
Right.
almost like a needle drop in a movie. Um, it's pretty cool. The music's quite good.
Mhm.
Um, as for the OP and ED, that's where it gets interesting, right? The OP is Abyss by Youngblood, which the song is okay. It's not terrible. I will say it's kind of gotten stuck in my head, which kind of pisses me off. But the visuals, I will say, are probably competing a pretty strong contender for probably the ugliest OP of the season, potentially the year. It's really ugly. It has this weird sort of 3D kaleidoscope kind of thing going on.
Okay.
And then it's basically like a
It's like describing any Netflix opening from like memory is what I
yeah,
feel.
like it's kind of just like a bunch of
It's
shapes
not
that are
quite
clipping
there.
in. Yeah, they're kind of just like clipping into each other in like this weird kaleidoscopic effect.
What?
It's not really
Yeah, it's like
representative of anything that I can tell. And then it like turns into like these weird monsters that are just like jiggling around at the screen.
the
It's
only
it's really fucking ugly.
the only thing that I could think it like kind of really is trying to be is like I assume at some point it's going to get into why he's turning into a kaiju and it's going to be some experimental bullshit because the only thing you can really make out is before like all the kaiju start forming from the orange goo is that it's almost like a DNA structure inside of a test tube
I
type
mean,
thing.
yeah,
But it looks so
sure, but that's
stupid.
like it's like yeah, it's really dumb. The
It's
ED,
oddly amateurish.
yeah, it's just kind of ugly. The ED is
Mhm.
Nobody by One Republic.
That's a name I haven't
Woo!
heard in a while.
Yeah, which is an interesting choice. The visuals for the ED are fairly cute. It's kind of like it's got a bit more of a picture book kind of thing. It has this animation of like the sort of researcher character opening files on a computer, and there are like various
Okay.
pictures of the characters and stuff. It's kind of cute. The song choice is very strange. But you know, I looked up the um ED uh uh like MV on YouTube, and there seems to be a lot of Japanese One Republic fans. It's kind of strange, I
Oh, okay,
guess. But
okay. That's
um,
interesting.
yeah, I don't know. I think
I say that, I guess.
I think the song
One
choice
Republic is
personally,
inoffensive. Like,
Yeah,
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 I
yeah.
think personally the song
like
choice is
they
probably a general attempt to appeal to the Western audience, right? Um,
Yeah.
yeah, audio visuals overall solid. The OP is ugly as fuck. The ED is okay. The voice cast is fairly interesting. The main character, Hibino Kafka, is voiced by Masaya Fukunishi. He seems to be not really like a newcomer or anything, but like he doesn't really have like any main roles like besides this really. The only other main role I see is some like hentai OVA from 2020.
What the?
Other than that, he's
Yeah.
had like supporting roles in
Hold on,
Haikyuu.
which ones? Which ones?
What is this? Eternity Shinya no Nurekoi Channel.
I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Um, he's had some supporting roles in Haikyuu. He did some supporting roles in the what is Legend of the Galactic Heroes, like the new movies. Um, what is this? To Your Eternity. He did some
Oh, okay.
stuff in the Urusei Yatsura remake, Tokyo Revengers. But yeah, this seems to be his
Oh,
first
his
like
Tokyo
main.
Revengers role seems to be pretty big though. I
Right.
don't know
Yeah,
if
it's like a
supporting.
it's a fairly prominent supporting character, I think.
Yeah, I was
But
gonna say he seems to be like a big supporting character at
yeah,
least.
this seems to be like this is like his first like big role though.
Okay, okay, okay.
Which is fairly
Yeah, if I
interesting.
had to assume, it probably was like Tokyo Revengers as like his kickoff, and then now it's
Yeah.
like now you get a main role.
And
Yeah,
then Ichikawa, which is the sort of the bro deuteragonist, is voiced by Wataru Kato, who is again relative newcomer. Previously did Kabru in Dungeon Meshi.
Okay.
Other than that, he was Scott in Yusha Gashinda. And other than that, he's had a handful of supporting roles here and there. Other than that, fairly newcomer. Shinomiya, the sort of Ojo, like you know, super talented, character is done by Faru's Eye. The childhood friend of the main character is voiced by Asami Seto. And that there's a bunch of relatively, I guess I wouldn't say unknown, but some more lesser known VAs amongst with some more well-known VAs, but the voice cast is pretty interesting.
Mhm.
Decent amount of money in there, I suppose, but there's some newcomers in there, which is cool to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, overall, I think this is pretty solid, right? I mean, it's a shonen, so 9 times out of 10, I mean, you know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
I do think this one
And
has a
this is
bit
a little
more.
bit more of a monster of the week kind of vibe, anyways, right?
Probably. I do think it's going to be relative overarching plot into mini arcs with the
Okay.
sort of main drive is going to be him like not getting discovered as a kaiju while he's in the kaiju hunting agency, while
Right.
also pulling out his kaiju power in like pivotal moments here and there to save people or
Yeah.
whatever. Yeah, other than that, it's probably relatively standard shonen. I do think the humor elevates it beyond like something like say Jigoku Daku, right? Which was kind of just like,
Mm-hmm.
wow, people are battling each other. Like, I don't fucking care, right?
Right.
This is a bit more entertaining. The characters are a bit more engaging.
And you mentioned that again. It's like that was pretty much very Chigoku Daku was very strictly uh like monster of the week, kind of thing. Versus this one because it also has like that twist with like I can't be seen, like I can't, like they can't know that I am a kaiju kind of thing
Yeah,
going on, right? So that's
yeah. There's
also
a
really
there's a
well
bit
done.
there's a bit more interesting stuff going on with this one, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
I've seen some people compare it to like a more like kind of like what what Attack on Titan like should have been or whatever in terms of like guy with sort of kaiju powers that like sort of has to keep it um on the wraps or whatever,
Hmm.
which is I guess sort of an interesting comparison, but yeah, I think it's
A pretty
interesting.
loose, pretty loose comparison.
Yeah, I mean
But
comparisons
I
like
guess
that
it makes
are probably
sense.
people that like only watch shonen, so but
Oh,
yeah.
did you mention the art director slash like background artist? Because I think that's
um
pretty worth.
no, I don't think I did.
Yeah, that's Kimura Shinji, who is the art director. Well, he wasn't the art director. He was the background artist for Akira. He's the art director for Dora Hedoro. He was also the art
Damn.
director for Kekai Sensen. Oh no,
Oh,
Exorcist.
he did Kaiju no Kodama as well, which is
Yeah, like
Mhm.
probably one of the best looking anime movies of all time, in my opinion. Oh,
yeah, like
Kekai
if you
Sensen
look
as
at
well.
this, yeah, if you look at his like history, it's
Very
like
storied. Yeah, the
kind of
backgrounds for
insane.
this series are also very pretty. Something I forgot to mention. But yeah, overall solid package. Shonen fans reading good, I think. And
Mhm.
even if you're not typically a shonen fan, it's probably worth checking out, right? Um,
Mhm.
yeah, overall strong recommend. I'd probably give it strong 7.5 to 8. Probably an 8.
Right.
I think an 8 is fair. Um,
Okay.
but yeah.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Nier. Again, that was Kaiju number 8. It started out as a Shonen Jump Plus digital manga that kind of blew up in popularity, and now it got an anime adaptation with all of the money in the world. What was the main production studio? It was
Production
Production IG,
IG.
right?
Yeah.
Yes. Production IG themselves
Along
being
with all of their umbrella studios.
yeah, the army of studios. Production IG is, I think, currently probably the biggest kind of independent um, animation studio or set of animation studios in Japan right now. I think arguably. plus or minus. There might be like other stuff like where Toei or something like that, but I think
Yeah.
production IG is at least one of the biggest. So getting a lot of money as well to animate Kaiju number 8, and it can it really shows off, as well as the source material, which is quite decent. So if you do like this sort of twist on the sort of monster of the week, got to defeat it vibes, but with a more uncommon protagonist as well as more uncommon kind of setup, right? Please do check this out.